Hey there, if you're seeing this video, you probably have been following us or myself for a while. This is what we do every year. I used to like to do a little blog about Georgia football in the preseason. And you might be aware that when we started our company, we actually had a website, Athens Real Estate Talk. It was just a blog. I started it to only do real estate articles and talk about Georgia football, really anything just for fun that wasn't always real estate. Well, now it kind of grew into more of a website. And now video has taken over so much. I mean, we use video to get out updates. We use video to sell property. We use video to communicate. Just last week, I was sitting down with a man from California who might be watching this. If you are, hey, Mike. Mike is in California and participating in our prediction contest that we have each year. So, pardon my voice, but I'm just running out of time to sit down and write a whole thing. I'm not Chip Towers. I'm not Jeff Dantzler. I'm not that good of a writer. So to do this for more fun, I decided why not just do a video to talk about it. And we are getting very close. It's kind of mid to late August. And we're going to do our prediction contest again, where we are going to put it out there to where the winning prediction might get a gift card to a local Athens business. It started in COVID, so we could kind of help support restaurants. And it's really just fun to do something that's not only real estate. If you do want to follow real estate and know about investment properties, homes for sale, click subscribe at the bottom. You'll get a notification on YouTube. Otherwise, this is the stuff that I like to do personally and our company does that is not about real estate. So bear with me. I'm going to talk about whatever I think off the top of my head about this football season here. I used to call it Georgia football preseason predictions and prognostications. And I left the S all predictions because I put this together pretty quickly. But we're sitting at the mountaintop of college football. It really feels crazy to know that Georgia's a national champion. It was a great year last year. But one of the things that I'm noticing already is a lot of the fans, some of my friends included, just sort of take it as a given that Georgia's going to run the table. And while you can look at the schedule and kind of find a way that Georgia's going to win all those games, I mean, Georgia's been undefeated, very few times in the regular season. So given that Georgia lost so much on defense, and given that it is a new year, it's probably likely that Georgia will lose a game. I hope it's not more than that. But, Georgia has done such a great job. Kirby's done a great job recruiting, done such a great job with the program that it does feel different. These preseason things used to be like, which one's it going to be? Is it going to be South Carolina we're going to lose to? We're going to lose in Jacksonville again? It always felt like there was going to be some upset. Missouri used to happen a lot before. That doesn't happen as much now. But instead of going game by game and predicting, it's going to be 45-13, we're going to go game by game and kind of point out the problem areas. So one, Oregon, we're going to be playing Dan Lanning, ex-football coach here. He's going to be very familiar with their team. The media keeps kind of promoting this as a trap game for Georgia. The truth is Oregon's got to come all the way across the country. They've got to come into Atlanta. If Georgia does lose that game, something will have gone very wrong. What I'm excited to see is maybe to start to learn some of the new names of some of our defenders, especially some of the linebackers. So I don't think, I got it highlighted. I think Georgia does get by Oregon. It just may not be as impressive as everybody thought. We understand Sanford's the first home game. I don't think that's a fearful game for Georgia. But I do think going to South Carolina could be. Game 3, they've got Spencer Rattler, who at times was a real handful. But the pro to that is they will be going against Bo Nix from Oregon, which I didn't mention. Bo Nix, he moves around, but he likes to throw the ball across the field, and that's not good against a fast defense. Spencer Rattler at South Carolina, I think they got a good coach there. It used to be so scary to play South Carolina early in the season. As Spurrier once joked, we almost always had a player out or 5. Not really the case anymore, but I think that could be if you go out and turnovers go wrong or something happens, you're on the mountaintop and everybody's trying to pick you off. So South Carolina, I'm going to call it a win, but I bet I'm nervous that week. I just bet I am. Kent State, it's going to be at home. That's probably not what we're going to worry about. I know. At Missouri, game 5. Now, Eli Drinkage is a good coach, or at least we think he is right now. So again, I just don't think Missouri's at our level. Y'all know that. So Missouri's not much to worry about. This Auburn game, which is now basically the Tennessee game, I would have put this in red because I think Auburn might be better than people realize this year or are predicting, but it's in Sanford Stadium, and that's just that's a game changer. That's going to be a big week in Athens. That's going to be the first really big home game. That's going to be a very hard crowd to overcome for Auburn. So if it were on the Plains, I might think differently. The next week's going to be probably homecoming with Vanderbilt. I hope Vanderbilt has a better year. They're doing the reverse. Vanderbilt's having their bowl game to start the year playing Hawaii. So they're obviously expectation is they're probably not going to have a great season. But Georgia should not be worried about that. In honor of it being in Jacksonville, in respect for Florida, I don't know if y'all saw this, but on Twitter, you might have seen before where South Carolina was selling tickets at Costco. The Florida Gators are also selling season tickets at Costco. And I was on a text thread this morning, and somebody on it made it a point. Wow, if that could happen to Florida, it could happen to anybody. So there's been a lot of talk about the Florida game, the Georgia-Florida game going to Athens and Jacksonville. Probably a reality in the future because of our coach who's getting a lot of money and getting a lot of support. If he wants it, he's probably going to get what he wants, and I don't think he's wrong. We probably should do that. But let me throw out this idea. Maybe somebody important will hear it. What if we did one game in Athens, one game in Jacksonville, one game in Gainesville? You did a rotation. And that way, each year, the game, wherever it was, Athens, Jacksonville, Gainesville, was a bigger deal. So you got to keep the Jacksonville game every once in a while, and you got the home and home as well. Just an idea to try to keep a tradition and make things a little different. The Florida game, I just don't think Florida. I think it'll be a good game in the first, 2 quarters like it was last year, and then in the second half, Georgia will overcome with depth. I think that's just what's going to happen. So that's 8 games, and really the scariest one to me was South Carolina, if you can believe that. All right, let's end it here. Game 9. This one's in red, and this one is in Sanford Stadium. But it's the one that worries me because this is the second game on the schedule that gives me pause that I would say might go either way. Georgia should beat Tennessee. They should beat Tennessee over 4 quarters. The thing about a program like what Tennessee is now, they're sort of like that triple option team that could trip you up like Tech used to. If a few things break their way, turnovers go their way, and you don't put them to bed, they're going to stick around and that could be a problem. And football's funny. The ball bounces funny. You just don't know how it's going to go. It is going to be a home crowd. That's going to be a very, very big game. But prediction is they're probably going to put us at 12 o'clock. And, Kirby's going to have to ask the crowd to be amped up. It'll probably be one of those things because of how football is changing to where the ESPN is taking the big game and putting it on at 12. I think Georgia, that's the one that scares me the most at the moment. Game 10, Mississippi State. Mike Leach is fun to watch, but I'm not too worried about Mississippi State. The Cowbells are a lot. That game does not worry me. Maybe it would change in the season if they demonstrate that they're a really good team. Okay, on to Kentucky. Kentucky is that team now that for years it's been Florida, Georgia, and then they'll talk about who's the dark horse in the East. They usually talk about it being Tennessee. And right now, because Kentucky's done such a good job, you all know that Will Levis, they've got a good quarterback. They really played Georgia tough last year. If you just watch that game, they were very physical. And at the very end of the game, they fought tooth and nail to score a pointless touchdown. But it wasn't pointless to them. They wanted to do it. And while a lot of fans were sitting around watching on TV at our tailgate, so what are they doing? I kind of respected it. I was like, if I was a Kentucky fan, I would want to come out against this defense and keep hitting them in the mouth and show them that I'm not going anywhere. So I respect that football team as a fan. And that's going to be an interesting game. So right there, you're looking at where are the pitfalls. I think it's South Carolina, lower percentage, Tennessee at home, slightly higher percentage, Kentucky at the end of the year. If they have a good season and their fan base is really behind them, even if they're not, let's be honest, when you're University of Georgia right now, there's a defending national champion, it is going, everywhere you go, people are going to be foaming at the mouth to take you off. Alabama's dealt with it for a long time. Georgia has always been a top program. But, we haven't been at this level in a long time. It really be kind of been sustaining this way for a few years. Game 12, the Nerds, Georgia Tech, not worried about it. I think that game's here. Thanksgiving game. I didn't even do them the credit of calling them by their name. The Nerds, we will beat the Nerds, or Georgia will beat the Nerds. And then after that, what happens? So, there's a lot of expectation. SEC championship game, would it be Alabama? I'll say this: if Georgia gets there, as good as Alabama is supposed to be, I just, what if LSU or Texas A&M actually did it this year? And I think we forget that. We take so many things for granted that these things do happen. LSU's got a good football coach. They've got a lot of talent on that team. And if you get those guys going in the right direction, they can be very scary. Jimbo Fisher, I'm just a fan. I think he's an overrated coach, but they're supposedly got a lot of talent over there. That's all they talk about. So it could be them. And then what happens after that? I mean, I don't really know what the playoff selection is. What Georgia fans' expectation should be this year is to enjoy it. Know that it's probably not going to happen because it's really hard to go back to back, but it might be really fun to get really close. I'm obviously going to pull for Georgia to win every game, but it's going to be different. We're going to be learning some new names. It's a different league. I mean, with NIL stuff going on, I think the whole climate's going to be changing to some degree. Now CBS is going to be taking over the games eventually for the Big Ten. SEC will be rolling to ESPN. There is a lot that is going to be different in college football moving forward, and we love it. We love it. Athens is a big part of our community. Thank you all for sitting here and putting up with this and listening. Feel free to comment. I did the video because writing it took so much longer, and frankly, when I used to write the post more often, there would be kind of the kind of personality that would go on Facebook and go, "You made 5 grammatical errors," and I'd comment, "Well, yeah, I'm not a professional writer, and I don't have time to proofread it for a day." So hopefully the video goes a little quicker. Long and short, instead of a prediction, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, scary games in my view. And you might disagree, but I think Georgia, instead of being the fan that calls for the undefeated, you need to be the fan that is realizing, what does Kirby say? Humility is a week away. Georgia can and probably will lose a football game.